Previously on Consumed by the Call.
Your life was easy before you met Jesus. It's too hard now.
Jesus brought the world trouble.
I tried to carefully figure out how to fit you into my life, along with everything else.
And now, something has to go.
Are you selling out the truth for the pleasures of this life?
And today,
my clothes, my ego, my attitude, my fun, my girlfriend.
What are you willing to give?
We have the opportunity to leave here with less of our flesh.
To find what really matters.
The realness I crave and hope for.
Will you pay the price?
Crucifixion is painful. It hurts.
What is it worth to you?
Jesus going, do you really want the veil to be torn? Do you really want to see and hear me?
Today on Consumed by the Call.
Jesus, take my all. I insist you take my all. So my name is Ron. Everybody say, hey, Ron. When you don't really know the love of God, it's sort of like a fish trying to live outside of water. What if we made a pact and said, by the time the sun rises tomorrow, there'll be no rust on this place. We're gonna get the rust out of our life. No more faking it. No more slapping a coat of paint on and pretending everything's great. I'm asking you tonight to consider giving your life to Christ, becoming a follower of Christ. Instead of following your clique, instead of following the culture, following Christ. We've just walked down this path with Jesus, the final moments before he gave his life for us. And we heard Joseph reflecting every step of the way. I'm like Judas. I'm like Peter. I'm like Pilate. And maybe you saw glimpses of yourself in each of that. I've done those kinds of things. I've denied Christ with my actions and my words. I've acted like a chicken sometimes, like Peter did. Maybe fallen asleep in your Christianity like the disciples did out there in Garden Gethsemane. For our last moments here tonight, I'd like for you to consider what it means to truly take up your cross and follow Christ. You know, last night we talked about him taking up the cross and carrying the cross for us. Tonight we're talking about, as followers, Jesus said, if you're gonna follow me, you must take up the cross and follow me. What does that really mean? I mean, what does it mean to take up that cross? There are so many of us who live in a sense of Christianity that, you know, we know we're Christians, we know we're close to God, and we've given our heart to the Lord, but he still seems so kind of far away from us. Seems like in your mind you know he's real, but you haven't connected with him, or you don't stay connected with him. And why does that happen? It's like that veil we just heard about, that veil that kept people out of the Holy of Holies that Jesus ripped in two. But it seems as though today there's another veil. We call ourselves Christians, yet it seems like there's something like we can't see him clearly. Why is that? Maybe it's that we're not taking up our cross. Could it be the veil of the self-life, the self-oriented life, where really I call myself a Christian, but really I'm pretty full of myself. My agenda, my life, my fun, creating a bit of a blockage between me and God where I can't see him and I can't hear him, and I go to church and I pray and I read my Bible, but he doesn't seem real. The veil of the fallen nature, this part of us that craves sin, part of our sinful nature that we kind of keep alive. And it creates a bit of a blockage where we can't really hear, can't really see him. This me-centeredness, starts when we're young. When you're a baby, all you have to do is cry, and your mom comes rushing to you to give you food. You cry again, and they'll change your diaper, and you're trained before you're even 1 year old. If I whine, I get all the attention. You get to be 2 or 3, your whining gets a little more sophisticated. You throw yourself down in the middle of the floor and say, I want that candy, and you get it. Okay, just be quiet. You fast forward to you're 15 or 16, It's a little bit different kind of whining, but nonetheless, we've learned how to have a very self-centered life. If we squeal or whine long enough, we kind of get what we want. And Jesus says, if you're gonna follow me, I want you to be the exact opposite of that. So now as a teenager, it's my stuff and my fun and my music. Me, my clothes, my ego, my attitude, my fun, my girlfriend, my boyfriend, my time, my career, my money. And I wonder if it's that very I-centered. In fact, we even call it the iPod. It's all about I, me. Everything's centered around I. And I wonder tonight if we have a lot of I-centered Christians calling themselves followers of Christ, but really so self-centered, they don't even realize it because it's so common and normal in our culture. And then we wonder, why do we pray? It doesn't seem like God's there. Why do we ask him questions and it seems like we can't hear him? You know, this me-centeredness is not just something that we do, it's something that we are. You know, we become self-sufficient, self-reliant, self-confident. It's all about self. Self-comfort seems to be one of our greatest aspirations. As long as I'm comfortable and I'm happy, everything's great. And Jesus calls us to do the exact opposite of that. Thank God he wasn't concerned with comfort, or none of us would have had a chance. Self-admiration. Oh, we have idols, memorials to our self-admiration on all of our Facebooks. We take pictures with our phones and look at ourselves. How do I look? Every mirror we pass by. And we wonder, God, where are you? I wonder if it's the veil of the self-life that has kept us. Because taking up our cross means taking that self-life and putting it on the cross and driving a nail in it. Now, this is not easy to do. It's not just a little prayer. Self-justification, self-righteousness, we've got all kinds of things. It's not easy to do. It's not, okay, I just pray that little prayer and it'll be done. Because crucifixion is painful. It hurts, especially when you're talking about I. Ow. Self-admiration, ow. Self. My comfort, ow, I gotta give that up. Self-oriented life. Denying yourself is what Jesus said. Take up your cross and follow me. Denying the self-driven self-life. That's what it means to take up your cross. You take self and you nail it to the cross. Whatever self area that is most demanding on you, this is what it does. It weaves a little veil, self, like a curtain between you and God. It weaves a veil. And all you can see is, are you happy? Or are you having fun? Or do people like me? Or am I dressed great? Or how's my hair? Or how's my makeup? Or how's my fun? And it weaves a veil, a curtain between us and God. And so what do we do about this? We move. We remove this veil, not by just a little prayer, but by experiencing, taking it to the cross and nailing it to a cross, take up our cross and follow him. And if we take that, it can be painful because we love that self-centered thing. We love our comfort. We love our self-admiration. It's sort of like, you ever been to the dentist before and they got to do something in there and they're and it touches a nerve. You ever jumped in the chair? That's what this veil is made out of. All kinds of sensitive nerves, all woven in self-centeredness. And when we take that to the cross, for a second, for a moment, for a minute, that's me, the old self-centered me that's got to die, that he might live big in me. Instead of being a bunch of people who go to churches, who do Christian-looking things, if we would let the self of us die, We don't have to do Christian living looking things because Christ himself is shining through us, driving us to look like him. So the world looks at us and go, wow, they look like Christ.
Coming up, see through to the other side.
You're listening to his heartbeat. You can hear it. There's no more veil.
And later, find out if it's worth the sacrifice.
But I'm willing to denounce everything my flesh wants.
Next on Consumed by the Call.
Valiant parents all over the world are facing this challenge. How do you raise teenagers in times like these? With the dangers of internet porn, cyberbullying, online predators, and the constant erosion of our religious freedoms, how do we navigate these treacherous waters? How do we raise our kids to avoid these threats and become wholesome adults? Luce led a troubled teenage life, and he knows what young people are going through. He also knows how to help parents to prevent their child from going off the edge. For more than 30 years, Luce has helped parents, young people, pastors, and youth pastors navigate today's growing challenges. Ron has been a trusted name, having been face-to-face with 3 million young people, over 100,000 youth leaders, and hundreds of churches. With his books, seminars, and mass events, Ron has helped parents, leaders, and young people become catalysts to build a better tomorrow. If we allow Hollywood, secular culture, and the internet to raise our kids, we know this could wreak havoc on the future of their lives and our nation. However, through clear understanding of the issues that today's teens face and how to respond to them, we can all have hope that our kids will remain strong and free from the grip of the challenges that they're confronted with. Please email today for a free ebook for either you or your young person to build spiritual strength to ensure you are prepared. We look forward to hearing from you soon, because as a parent or grandparent, we want you to be equipped to leave this world with a positive legacy for this next generation.
Could I invite you to do something that might look a little scary? Instead of thinking about self-preservation, guarding the self areas of yourself, to take up your cross and do something that's not very pleasant. Take a self part of you, part that's been driving you, the part of yourself that you've been protecting, preserving, the fallen nature that you've kept alive. My music, my stuff, my fun. Jesus going, do you really want the veil to be torn? Do you really want to see and hear me? Taking up your cross, saying, I'm going to carry this thing. And he died on the cross for me, but he wants me to take myself areas and crucify them. And it's painful, for a moment, because we cherish it. It's never fun to die. The cross was not a fun experience for Jesus. But he was thinking about what is going to happen after the cross. The joy set before him. He knew it was worth it because of what was going to happen on the other side. And so tonight I invite you to join a long line of sincere followers of Christ who have said over the years that I'm not just going to give lip service to this thing called Christianity. I'm going to put self to death. Our job is to yield, is to trust in him. Our job is to insist, Jesus, take my all. I insist you take my all. I insist you take my self-life. I do not want to hang on to one piece. I insist. I ask you, oh God, you've got to. I will not hold on. Take it all. Take it all. Take it all. I refuse to hold on to this veil that covers me and surrounds me and makes me comfortable of the self-life. We must insist he take our all or he won't. It'll just be another little prayer. Could I ask you to think sincerely about what area of your life, maybe there's more than one, do you need to crucify tonight? Do you need to put to death? You see, it's not enough to come to an event like Acquire the Fire and have God touch your life. How about having a connection with God every day? Tomorrow and the next day. Not just saying I'm a Christian, but I'm talking about closeness with God. You hear him, he hears you. You're listening to his heartbeat, you can hear it. There's no more veil. It's not smoke and mirrors, it's not pretend. You can see clearly. Why? Because you put self to death. I'm gonna ask you to do something tonight. We bring some of the house lights up? And I want you to take a piece of paper. Grab one from a friend if you need. And think about an area of self that you know you want to crucify, you want to put to death. Think about it. Don't write it down unless you're willing to put it to death, because it could be painful, at least for a moment. Just grab a piece of paper and grab a pencil or something from somebody and write it down and hold it near to you. We're not going to leave here just hyped up and excited and inspired. We have the opportunity to leave here with less of our flesh. It's not just what happened on the physical cross. It's putting to death that part of self nature so that he can live big in that part of you. Jesus, tonight, would you rescue us from shallow Christianity? Would you rescue us from just a bunch of shouts and of emptiness that just look like another sporting event? Would you rescue us from our own flesh, Lord, so that we don't just wear a label called Christian, but really we're pretty self-driven? Would you help us rip through that veil that keeps you obscured from us, where we can't hear you or see you every day like we want to? And for a moment, Lord, as we put flesh and self to death, we feel that sting, but we know there's joy on the other side, because you come and fill that part that we just put to death. God, I want to ask you, one by one, as you sense this is it, Lord, this part of my self-nature is going to die tonight. Would you take that and go and find a cross that's near you? And there are hammers there, and there are nails there. And they're gonna allow you to just nail those things right to the cross. And once you've nailed it, just slip to the side so someone else can get in there, and just drop to your knees and let God begin to do the work inside you. There are crosses all over the arena. And once you've hammered that in, you just get on your knees and let God begin to work something inside you. Take it, Lord. Take it, Lord. Take it, Lord. I insist. Take it, Lord. Just drop down and begin to cry out to him.
Altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to
Jesus. Oh God, purify the deepest motives of our heart, oh God. Lord, as we honestly rip our hearts open tonight and examine the self-driven nature, God, purify us tonight. As we take up our cross to follow you, Lord. We don't have to put ourselves in the center anymore, Lord. It is you.
Coming up, shake the world up.
And now the one who's alive again is alive on the inside of us. And he commissions us to be nothing but trouble.
Next on Consumed by the Call.
Valiant parents all over the world are facing this challenge. How do you raise teenagers in times like these? With the dangers of internet porn, cyberbullying, online predators, and the constant erosion of our religious freedoms, how do we navigate these treacherous waters? How do we raise our kids to avoid these threats and become wholesome adults? Luce led a troubled teenage life, and he knows what young people are going through. He also knows how to help parents to prevent their child from going off the edge. For more than 30 years, Luce has helped parents, young people, pastors, and youth pastors navigate today's growing challenges. Ron has been a trusted name, having been face-to-face with 3 million young people, over 100,000 youth leaders, and hundreds of churches. With his books, seminars, and mass events, Ron has helped parents, leaders, and young people become catalysts to build a better tomorrow. If we allow Hollywood, secular culture, and the internet to raise our kids, we know this could wreak havoc on the future of their lives and our nation. However, through clear understanding of the issues that today's teens face and how to respond to them, we can all have hope that our kids will remain strong and free from the grip of the challenges that they're confronted with. Please email today for a free ebook for either you or your young person to build spiritual strength to ensure you are prepared. We look forward to hearing from you soon, because as a parent or grandparent, we want you to be equipped to leave this world with a positive legacy for this next generation.
Now, here I am. I was there for it all. 2,000 years later, I'll only be known as Joseph, a guy from Arimathea. And I'll only take up a few lines in the greatest story to ever be told.
And now, here I am. You said we'd face trials? I had no idea until now. But I'm willing to denounce everything my flesh wants so I can break through to that life you've promised.
Maybe I did follow from a distance, but I did follow. I believed you when you said that if I go through this, the realness I crave and hope for, I get it. I believed you.
You told us to follow you, and we did.
But now there's nothing left to follow.
There's nothing here.
When they went to that tomb, they found nothing. And because they found nothing, it became trouble to them. Nothing but trouble, because they couldn't figure it out. This guy who was dead is now alive again. And it troubles the world because they can't figure it out. And now the one who's alive again is alive on the inside of us. And he commissions us to be nothing but trouble. Bringing trouble to the enemy, bringing trouble to the devil, bringing trouble to those that are hurting, letting them know the life of God in us can live in them as well. Are you ready to be nothing but trouble?
When I was up there and I saw Ron Luce, I saw him, he was saying stuff about how that he reminded me. It just clicked in my head, the part where he says in the Bible, that the righteous man falls 7 times, he still gets back up. And it kind of just relit this fire in my heart. It just helped me a lot to know that, to remember that I can go back to God.